Hey there, it's Boots Owen here. This is a Numatic vacuum. It's a yellow one, but you could call it a Henry Hoover. I was given it. It was surplus to requirements. It was out in the rain. I have a feeling that it's full of water. I don't know if the motor's been soaked or not. It might be waterproofed. I don't know. It's got a load of grit and stuff up here. My plan is to tidy it up, put it back together, and try and get it going. So what I'll do first is I'll take it apart and give it a hose down the yellow bit anyways and just brush off the top. Then I'll bring it into the workshop and take it completely apart and have a look at what the motor's like inside. It might have been swimming, and if it was, it's probably too bad. But all the parts for these are interchangeable. Really handy to have. Really good little vacuum. So let me crack on. This just unscrews the hose. And that's definitely wet in there. Top comes off, you open up those clips, and that's pretty wet and rusty looking, so that motor might be dead. There's the filter. I'm going to put that straight in the dustbin, and it's full of some kind of brown soup. It looks like there was a bag in there that looks a bit rotten or dead, but it's plastic, so it doesn't matter, and it doesn't smell, which is kind of weird. Kind of good, kind of weird. All the parts for these are available. You can buy a full kit with the filter, new hoses, new everything, for really small money, like 12-15 quid, something like that. You don't need to run them on bags. I tend not to use bags in them. I've got one in the workshop, works fine without a bag. If you want a bag, it's easier to tidy. Maybe that's the only thing that's going for it, really. But the filter itself keeps it clean. So let's get this out. So even as it is there, it looks pretty clean. I'll tip this grit straight into the dustbin. I wouldn't normally hose this down, but because it's soaking wet inside already, I'm not too worried about it. The motor inside, you can't see it there, but through those holes it looks rusty, so I'm not sure if this will be a dud or not. We might still be able to get it going when it's dry. So it's already looking a lot better. In my experience, car valeting companies like to buy these. They like to buy them used. New, these are over £100, depending on the type and what you get. But second-hand, they tend to go for 50 quid. So if you can get one, even without a working motor, odds are you'll need the parts for another one. That's my experience. I've sold about 10 of these. I like the ones that don't have the retractable cable like this one. So you just wind the cable up on top when you're finished, For me, that's better because there's fewer parts to break. But of course, if you leave it out in the rain, maybe you're tempted fate. As you saw already, this one doesn't have the happy face of a Henry. It's just a plain one. Oh, spider. Oh. Lamb electric, 230 volts, just a standard motor. It doesn't say any wattage on it. That would probably be on the machine. Here's the rubber thing. It's like the damper, and it's well stuck on. So I prise that off. I think this motor is seized. I don't want to break it, but I do want to get it off. I'll give it a wash then. I get further into it, nice and dirty. Give that a tidy away. Now, in here is the fan impeller that creates the vacuum, and that feels seized. Looking on the other end, however, the brushes and all seem to look okay. If I can get in there with something small. The brushes are working okay on that side. And on this side, yeah, they're springing out alright. They're springing out alright, so I have a feeling they're fine. There's the connectors for the motor. So it's a matter of getting in here then, trying to free it up. So some of these locations are bent back a bit. Maybe there is just two of them, it looks like. So let's try and get in there. Of course, I'm not really worried about damaging this because, as far as I'm concerned, it's broken. Now, you can hear a lot of rusty stuff. You can hear a lot of rust rattling around inside it, and it falls out, as you can see. Just working the hammer all the way around. It looks like up in here the blades of the fan are stuck to the housing just from gunk, so we'll have to free them off. It might be glued in place, which won't help me. I'll try and bash it off with the hammer. The other thing I could do is loosen off that nut and try and just twist it free with that, but I kind of want to get in here. Feeling it around my finger, I've completely distorted the shape of that. I don't know how much more I'm willing to do. Let's try and get a socket on it. Actually, that's freed it up. That doesn't sound too bad, you know. So maybe it's a matter of somehow getting a bit of oil in there next. So it's difficult to see, but it is turning the blades. Now, there should be a bearing on each end of that shaft. There's one there, which I'd say this bearing is fine. The one down the bottom may not be, but it's spinning. Looking at this, there's these little plastic nubs here, 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 and here. They look like they might take screws from the other side. I would like to get this off and just, because there's so much crud stuck on the blades, I'd love to give them a brush off with a wire brush or something like that. All that I'm doing there is breaking the plastic, which has a real strange odor. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it with the bigger one. It isn't budging at all. Well, let's just try putting power on it, see what that does. There's a capacitor in there as well between the live and the neutral. I think it might just be to be a filter, but I don't know. And I don't think it matters positive or negative or live and neutral which one's which. There's the switch. Let's plug it in and see what happens. So it's live now. Might blow the fuse in the house. Well, we got a good cloud of dust there, but it seems to work just fine. Wow, that was good. Right. There's a nice bit of dust over everything, including the camera. So it's plugged out now. Well, that just works fine. Switch works fine. I'm gonna put it back together as it is. There's no problem with that, I don't think. The bearings might be knackered in the long run, but you've got a working machine in the short run, so that's all that really matters. Let's reassemble it. So one of the issues from before that I hadn't fixed was this screw that I had to drill out. It goes, the one that goes in here and holds the handle on top. If you recall, I had to get the drill on it, so I need to get this out, and the way to do that, I think, is just to hold it in my hand, hit it with a hammer. The idea with the hammer is you're trying to break whatever grip is between the screw and the plastic and get a vice grips on it. That's not doing anything. Go both ways. There we go. You can see it moving. If you can't. So you have to hope it's that you haven't just sheared the metal and the screw, but I don't think we have. There we go, it's coming up. That's what's there. A big rusty screw, rusted the whole length and well bedded into that plastic. That means we can get cracking now. Does anybody remember what it looked like? I don't. This rubber went in here. And that was where the cable was restricted, like that. I'm guessing that went back up in there because there's a little nub for it. And then I'd say the switch was next. The switch was probably pushed through from the top to the bottom. Like that. Back in there. Uh-oh, falling out. So it's like that. Rubber, the cable comes in, zigzags around, goes in, this plastic thing clicks in there, and these two positive or line and neutral, and the line and neutral go on there to the switch. The switch is safe enough. Then these ones go through into here. Live cables getting caught there. Is that it? There it is. It just pops in by the looks of things. So all of these screws are similar and they're all pretty rusty, so I'm going to see if I have some better ones. So I found some new ones. What I think I'll do is I'll put the new ones up on top and the old ones underneath. That way we won't be able to see. So it's such a bad lot of rusty ones. So which ones go first? A couple of these, I think. Okay, just for looks there, I don't know what size that is, something 100 watt, 1100 watt maybe, don't know. Right, underneath I've got these rubbers here. Do I remember? No. It's this way. So I'm just helping the little plugs in with that. It's just a Torx screwdriver. Now, I think they go in there. It leaves those two nubs sitting up. And then I imagine I need to put this back on. Which way did it go? It sits up in this one. It has two little things there as well, so somehow we'll have to match that up later. So that rubber sits in there. Have to match that up later. Let's get these cables on here. Let's see. I guess that seems to be the way. Looks good enough. Then this, who knows? I presume I have to put these on first. These little handles. Put them on. Turn this over. It's like something fell off there, but I believe it did. Oh, it did, of course, yes. That seems to be that. So we've got 7 screws under here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll tighten them up. I got the screws underneath all done. I just need to fit this handle again. And we want a couple of long ones for that. I think that one's long and short enough. Let's try it. Seems okay. Let's put another long one on this side. No, I don't know if it needs it. Let's try a short one. See if that gets a grip. Yeah, that's adequate. And we didn't have a long one coming out. So that's perfect. Let's throw away those old screws so I don't get tempted to keep them. Gone. Right. So what's next for this vacuum? Well, let's try it one more time. Let's try it one more time. Feels remarkably good. Feels pretty good. Excellent. I'm quite pleased with that. Feels very good. A little pneumatic. So what am I going to do with this? Well, the filter was a dud, so I'm going to get a new filter. But while I'm at it, I'm going to get a whole filter kit, which is about, it's either 15 or 20 quid or something like that. Maybe less on the internet. You get it delivered to your house. You can buy them in shops as well. They're not particularly, they're so common. Get an aftermarket part. Don't buy the genuine branded ones. You can get more bags, but I don't use them with bags. So I tend to use them for workshops and sawdust and that. I like this type of one, with the way the cable just rolls up manually. Some people will think that they prefer the ones where the cable rolls up inside, but What's good about this is that there's nothing to break. Well, there's less to break. You've just got the cable going straight to the switch. On the other ones you have this little rotating contact, which I've, you know, had to fix in the past, and it's not impossible to do, but it's easier not to have to do it. And if you take some element out of the process, then there's no way it can break. That's the Numatic. So for what will be about 15 or 20 quid, I'll have a vacuum cleaner that works. And I don't think, just feeling how that motor sounds, there doesn't sound to be anything in the bearings. So maybe after 6 months or a year it'll go, but I don't think so. It's probably quite a long video, but thanks for watching, and it's worth trying to keep these things going. You can throw them out, it's just a load of plastic and a little motor and a bit of cable, but yeah, they're 100 and something new, so for 20 quid you end up with something that's almost new, and will probably last a long time more. Thanks for watching, see you later.